Did you know that one U.S. company has created the first ever genetically modified animal intended for human consumption?
Yeah, I mean, I heard about that last week, and you know, I'm thinking, is it really safe for a genetically modified animal to be eaten, or is it going to do something to the environment or something? I mean, that's pretty weird.
I don't know, but one of our reporters did talk to a GSU biology professor. Let's check that out.
I guess the bottom line is I don't have any problem eating genetically modified things. I eat genetically modified plants. We all do. We eat genetically modified corn. And I don't see a big difference between eating that and eating a genetically modified salmon. These genetically altered fish grow in the winter when the natural Atlantic salmon don't grow because their growth hormone gene shuts down in cold weather. So these fish have a gene from a very close relative. So it's not as if you're taking a non-salmon gene. They're taking a gene from a Pacific salmon, putting it into this Atlantic salmon, and then taking a promoter from a different species of fish altogether and putting that in. And the whole package allows you to grow all year. It basically allows that Atlantic salmon to not shut down growth during the winter, which means they get to adult size faster. But they don't become titan fish, right? They don't become these gargantuan monsters that you'd expect because they don't grow much after that time. Now, what would happen to those animals under field conditions? It's anybody's guess. It's anybody's guess. What would happen if some got out and persisted? But there are two things. So you could paint a doomsday story about some of these females getting out and those genes breaking into natural populations. And this has been targeted towards aquaculture that happens in sea pens. Most of the salmon that are farmed now are farmed in these big sea pens, which are kind of big closed nets hanging in the ocean. One of the big debates with regard to this FDA decision is right now, when you buy corn products, for example, from Archer Daniel Midland's, ADM sells, right, most of the high fructose corn syrup you eat is processed by ADM. They're a mega corporation. They are not required to tell you that there's genetically modified corn in those products. There is no requirement for plants, for crops that are genetically modified to inform the consumer that they're eating genetically modified materials. And here's why. And this is I think the big, I mean, there's a lot of issues with regard to this decision, but one of the biggest, I think, is a peripheral issue. Not do they get permission. They probably will get permission. But will they get permission to sell these salmon without having some kind of sticker label, warning label saying these are genetically modified animals? Those who really want to totally reclaim natural salmon runs are going to see this as a good thing, because that 25% of salmon added to the market is going to, for example, decrease potential demand on natural salmon. Now, is that a good thing? Well, if you're into conservation, it is. If your job is catching salmon from the ocean, that brings down your profit margin, right? So people who go out into the ocean and fish salmon are now going to have to compete with a cheaper source. And that's going to be bad for salmon fishermen. I think that every scientist should be concerned about what work they do. Some scientists consider themselves to be applied scientists, so that their primary goal is to develop knowledge or take knowledge and use it in a way that best benefits human society. Then there are scientists whose primary goal is to understand how the world works. Well, knowledge for the sake of understanding where we live better. So there are a lot of reasons, there are a lot of ways you could use that knowledge.
Yeah, that was pretty neat. Okay, Joseph, are you ready?
Ready for what?
To jig.
To jig?
Just kidding. The sports segment, of course.
Sure, I can't wait to see all the cool footage that we got from the last football game. We got standing right on the field and that exciting point and all that stuff.
I was right there. Hey, let's check it out.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you for joining us again with Panther Report Sports Beat. I'm Jackie Britton, and we've had a lot of really great games going on the past few weeks, and we want to get you caught up on all of it. First, we're going to start with our main story, which is baseball, and we took some time to hang out with the baseball team over the weekend, and we learned a few things about the guys that you probably didn't know, so we'll have more on that in this segment coming up. Okay, last time we talked about football, we talked about the first game ever, but now we're on to something a lot more exciting, which is Georgia State's very first homecoming. The Dome was home to another historic moment for us here at Georgia State, and we got a lot of action from the sidelines that you can't see from the stands. Also, keeping an eye on the soccer team, we went out to Panthersville this weekend and cheered on our men's team as they hosted Virginia Commonwealth University. This was their second conference game of the season, and we've got more on that coming up later in the show. First, the baseball team is showing their softer side during their preseason, and we don't mean on the baseball field. The team just finished up 3 weeks of volunteering with the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta, and the guys played video games, basketball. They learned a few things about arts and crafts on their visit, all while spending time with the children and their parents. Head coach Greg Frady says it was definitely an honor to be a part of that, and we're all very proud of our baseball team. So we took a few minutes to interview a couple of the players, and here's what they had to say about it.
Oh, it's just a heartwarming experience, to go out and help kids who may not be in a good position, and it's just really nice to go out there and show that we're supporting them, we're there for them, and it's just one of those experiences that you kind of remember for the rest of your life.
We all had a great time. The kids were great. We played a little Wii with them, and it was really just a great day overall.
I mean, it was good. It was fun to see. We made these these kids' days. They were really excited to see us. And whatever was going on in their life, it was good for them to be able to forget about it for a couple of hours and just hang out with us. So it was definitely a really good experience.
Not only is baseball scoring big time with this heartwarming story, but they're also crawling up the national ladder in their ranking. And here's what Coach Frady had to say on that. Reading from your bio, you're going on your 5th year here, and you are the 8th coach at Georgia State's history for the baseball team. And from what I also read, you've turned players into national candidates for various honors, some which have been awarded. And under your lead, the team has broken many school records. So today we kind of want to talk to you about the national ranking that the guys, this is the 2nd year in a row, they've made the top 40 national ranking. What is your, how did that happen? How did this come about?
Well, first off, I want to say I don't think coaches turn players into great players. I mean, you get really good players, players work hard, players continue to train. I think in a program where you've got strength and conditioning program, good nutrition, facilities to help players hit the ball better, perform better as pitchers, those things matter. We've been fortunate enough to get a lot of very good players coming from different programs, and having putting multiple years of national recruiting classes together, I think speaks well for the players that's played here. And we're really happy to have this class coming in. We're excited about the direction of the program.
Now let's follow back up with soccer. The men's team lost in an extremely tough battle against VCU, but the women's team completely shut out William and Mary with a final score of 2-0. Kellyanne Collins had 12 saves during that game, and this is their 2nd win for the conference season. So good job, girls. Keep up the good work. Okay, now moving on to Panther football. The Dome was home to yet another historic moment for all of us here at Georgia State. We had our very first homecoming, and thank you to everyone who came out and supported the team and made that experience an amazing one. So check out this footage that we got from the game. About 7 minutes left, and we've already scored our 2nd touchdown by running back Paris Lee. Tell us, what do you have to say to all the students who aren't here and didn't come to our very first homecoming?
Y'all need to be here because this is awesome. Come support.
again for joining us with Sports Beat. But before you go, mark your calendars for the following sporting events. October 8th, we've got women's soccer hosting James Madison at 7 p.m. October 9th, football hosts Savannah State at 1 p.m. Volleyball will host Hofstra at 7 p.m. on October 15th. And October 16th, baseball has their fall international game. We want all of the students here at Georgia State to become involved, support your student athletes, and be sure to check out the Georgia State Athletics website for a full detailed schedule of all the games coming up here on campus. Thanks for watching. I'm Jackie Britton with Panther Report Sports Beat.